Kim is great. Mhm. Cheers. Yeah, so, when I first started trading was in, like, I don't know, maybe 2014 or something. I was at this professional conference for something unrelated, and it was during the green rush, like, all the pot stocks were, like, going off, so I was seeing this all over my feed, and I was like, "I wanna do this." So I opened an account, I started following one of those stock gurus, bought a program, and was, just spending hours, like, looking at charts, reading this stuff, but I've always had a thing for I don't know, I'm a sucker for a good story. So I got caught up in several, like, pump and dumps. There was one, Greek shipping stock that, it was going up and then halted. I blew up an account. Went through that, did I remember watching a live congressional hearing waiting to see if they would approve, funding for touch-free thermometers for Ebola because I, like, had some of that stock, but this was before I realized just how kind of orchestrated all the media is about this stuff and how they just, want suckers like me to get in it. So I had traded kind of unsuccessfully several years ago and then had given it kind of a rest. During the pandemic, I that's when I decided, like, okay, maybe I should kind of get into this again. I had been in Wall Street bets for years, had followed that, but I wasn't like actively trading at that time, but I started seeing these posts about GameStop and an infinity squeeze. And I get FOMO so bad. And I thought, like, if this thing is going to the moon, like I want in. I definitely want in. So I just, jumped in for that. So that at first it was just like, oh, this looks like fun. I want in. If there's like, money, whatever. I jumped in. So that's how I found it. I had been on Wall Street Bets for a while. I loved the previous Wall Street Bets culture. It's very different now. I don't even frequent that stuff very often. It's been very different post the January 2021 squeeze. But I liked how it was, before these just like crude posts, a lot of stuff about like your wife's boyfriend and just, that rude kind of stuff. Like I loved it. It was funny because there was a lot of good information there too. It wasn't just pumping stuff. There was like valuable stuff to learn, I think. So I enjoyed reading that, but it wasn't until the fall of 2020 that I got into GameStop. And I had been watching those posts for a while and they just kept going. And then I was like, yeah, I want in.
Nice. So let's talk a little bit about the movie because, like, I mean, we're kind of going past where you're just talking about right now. We're kind of going a little bit past that and saying, in general, in movies, because we know you as something, and we envision you as something maybe a little bit different than maybe who you are. But in movies, there's always a large amount of creative liberty given in writing a character from a non-fictional story. Do you feel the character Jenny was a good depiction of you? And if not, what would you want us to know about you and here and now to kind of set that record straight?
Okay, so the movie was based off of the book, and in the book, I was a character in the book, and that did include a lot of my actual details of how I found it, traded it, all that. The movie depiction was a little different. There definitely are some things the same. Mom, single mom, nurse, like raising two boys, um, all that, and just kind of the feelings behind it. I really liked her character about just kind of just like fuck these hedge fund people.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
if we just hold like diamond hands, and that absolutely was how I felt. during that.
Yeah. So
So I was not trading options on Robin.
okay, no
It was
options.
so
You were not trading
yeah,
options, but you were definitely buying shares and
yes.
yeah, okay. A lot of the scenarios that they played out in the movie, because I had mentioned something about a broken mug. I think at one point to you, did you have a? Because I kind of related to that because I've broken a mug in this whole episode with AMC, and I was like, please tell me the broken mug scene happened. I just wanted to know, like, please tell me that happened. You said you had a story about a
Well,
broken
okay.
mug. Yeah.
Well, almost. Okay. So I had sent the author of the book, I had sent him a picture from something that happened at work. And that scene, I think, was kind of an inspiration for that. So it wasn't a mug that broke, it was actually a window.
Oh,
And it was because of a walker, which was also included in the movie. So that is something that happened. So, like, my coworkers think it's hilarious that that part was included. Um, People might have missed it. The opening scene with Jenny Campbell, there's somebody hitting a window with a walker.
yeah. Oh, there it
So
is.
there is a walker going through a window,
Holy
breaking
crap! They
glass.
literally threw
So
that thing like right through the window. What the heck?
yeah. So while I did not cut myself, we absolutely had a walker going through a window
Oh my
at
goodness,
work.
that's crazy. Well, I didn't expect anything like that. All right, that's cool. Well, now that DFV is back with some of the stuff that we've been seeing with a lot of the different memes and everything, what kind of flashbacks are you having right now that kind of stand out for you as kind of like what stands out? Like, what are you seeing that just kind of like brings back old flashbacks?
Well, even better than last time. I mean, like, I'm a total like tinfoil hat type anyways. I love conspiracies and stuff. And it's like his memes, like these videos, I think have so many different like layers and messages and even his live stream. So it's like there's all it's like a puzzle and stuff. It's fun. It's more fun this time around, I think. Because when we went into the squeeze in 2021, like didn't know what was going to happen, right? Here we are, like 3.5 years later. There's been a lot more research. I've spent lots more time reading about this stuff, um, which was different from when it started, and was just like FOMOed in to see what would happen.
Yeah,
This time is more fun. I think there's more people, more eyes on this. I think DFE is a genius that is just trolling the mainstream media so hard, and they don't even realize it. He's like simultaneously like sending messages to them and us, and I don't know. I love his videos. Always have. He
so
just
you,
seems like such a great guy.
so did you feel like there was there was none of this mystery before in the past? Like he didn't put encrypted things into messages in the past at all that you recall. It was all
No,
just
I mean he was just like
straightforward.
laying out the thesis,
Hmm.
and then once it did started running, or when before it was like the videos were funnier and more energy and stuff. Friday's video was amazing.
It was really good. I enjoyed it.
I was watching it at work, but was just so suspenseful, right? Like I like many had it up before it started. There were thousands of people in the night before waiting for the video. Um, and then when it hit 9 a.m. My time, like, oh, where is he? No, not there. Okay. But when he comes on, just to like, his disclaimers and little thing, but then like obnoxious screeching and tones and different like messing with the mute button, and then in the cast while all the mainstream is covering him live. Like, this is the guy that they had just been trying to say was like leading a movement and pumping a stock, and like
Yeah,
he comes in like that. It was
yeah.
brilliant.
It was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. Um, so again, moving on here, I get asked this question quite a bit for myself. People ask me, what are my plans for like my YouTube channel after MOAS? And so I guess I want to ask you, what do you want to most achieve after this is all over? Do you have any like specific plans that you want to like? Have you actually? Let me ask this a little bit differently. What plans did you have the first time around? Did you achieve those plans? And then now, did that somehow change what you want to do now versus going forward?
Okay. So I'll say full transparency, in the first squeeze, I was just or I was holding pretty much exclusively in a Roth IRA, and I only had 100 shares. So I didn't have, I don't know, it wasn't going to be like Lambos for me kind of thing. And it's money that I never saw as like, oh, stuff that I was going to, or money that I was going to have access to immediately. So initially, it was just fun to be part of, like, wanted to see what would happen. Now I've had 3.5 years to prepare and diversify and, you know, um, hoping they can secure like some, money for generations. I think that would be great, generational wealth. I want to see the game to be more fair, because it is bullshit. Anybody who's been involved in this can see, and whether they're just kind of waking up to this kind of stuff through GameStop, AMC, and that. But that's one thing. As someone who's in it, you see the way the media portrays stuff very different than like what's actually going on. And so it's like, if they're lying about this, what else are they lying about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So many things. I wish these markets would be fair. That's it. Like we really kind of didn't stand much of a chance, just as my experience years ago with those caught up in all these hype pump and dump stories. Like, just, the media will push out a narrative and sell to suckers who just want to get rich. And it's like, it's not fair. And then in the way now, with all these naked shorts and stuff, like they're just creating these out of thin air. That's not right. Like, I'd like to see some
Changes.
fair markets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is my random question to you. I do this to every single person that I ever interview. It's a completely random question that just to kind of ice break a little bit here and kind of make you smile a little. But I've heard through the grapevine that you're quite the thrift store shopper. So, having known that, what is the best item you've ever purchased?
Oh my God, that's tough. I love Goodwill. I go probably once, twice a week. I love it. It's fun to just go treasure hunting and just see what you can find. But I think the best feelings come from when I go with my best friend. We go to the Goodwill bins, which are, it's like this
by weight
warehouse.
I know about this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I love
you
the
buy
bins,
by weight.
it's like
yeah. it's great.
You got to work for those.
Who doesn't know about
and,
this?
Like, dig through the clothes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. People are missing out. And, it's stuff that doesn't sell at Goodwill, or some stuff I found brand new tags on it. Amazing stuff. So part of the thrill is like just finding these, I don't know, great things. I love it. Goodwill is my...
So what's your favorite item that do you have one specific item?
I've gotten some really cool leather jackets. I like some really cool purses, but I love like vintage, like 90s stuff. I just have fun with it. I buy my boys clothes that I think they would like based on their style, and it's fun, and it's a heck of a lot more affordable than if I were paying retail for stuff.
Nice. I think there's probably a lot of people that could relate to what it is that you're talking there. I feel like I've had that conversation with plenty of people in the past in this community. Speaking of community, I feel that you have a lot of passion for the community. What's been like one of your favorite parts about the community in general? Like, how would you wrap up, like, if you were to say like how community has helped you, or maybe even tell us the bad side too? Like, how's community both helped and hurt you along the way and through your journey?
So I would say pretty much throughout this whole thing, I was not an active poster on things. I mean, I did happen to tweet during the January squeeze, but like literally tweets out to like 0 likes, 0 retweets. Like, one of them I just retweeted the other day had 0, 0, 0. Like, no one, like, I was just screaming out into the wind. Um, but for the most part, I just lurk. I don't participate in these kind of conversations, but I know that there's more lurkers than people that participate. There's a lot of us,
Yep.
and it has brought me great comfort to know that there's always a place I can go to.
Hmm.
Super Stonk or different Reddit areas where I there's the familiar posts that happen every day, whether it's the starfish or the sideways trading person or the sign on the side of the road or the buildings with lights on, like just the different posts that it's like, okay, kind of like inside jokes for the community, things I don't even need to participate in, but can just see, and like that familiarity. There's and the people that do all the research and stuff, like those areas kind of feel like home. Like I know that no matter what's going on, I can always escape into my phone, and that those communities will always be there. And same with Twitter or X or whatever it's called. Was not like a very active, and I'm now trying to be maybe a little more active. But there's a lot of people that were like me that aren't posting, that are just silently cheering from the sidelines, holding their shares and just waiting for MOAS. And I don't know. I think it's been really cool. It's such a big community. There's so much heart in there, and I love this shirt is from when the apes were adopting apes, and the Diane Fossey Gorilla Fund got tons and tons of money. I have on Christmases sending gifts for the gift drives that people are doing through the apes. Like it feels good to be part of the community. There's so many people, and it takes everybody doing the different, the people doing the memes and the music and the live streaming like you are, and that are putting out information and that are promoting stuff. But also there's a lot of people like me that just consume it
Mm.
and love it. And I just, I want those people to know, like, you're so, so important.
You're
And
representing the lurkers.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
There you have it, chat. In case you're wondering, there are people that lurk. By the way, I just got a message like just yesterday from somebody who lurks, and they wanted to have an opportunity to be able to come to the Big Tramp, and I'm real like careful about like who I let into Discord, because I just don't want just anybody coming in there to disrupt or whatever. But so I'm kind of careful about that. But I know there's people out there who are lurking like yourself, who where if I don't give them an opportunity to at least be there, that I could be missing out on helping somebody, or allowing somebody to be able to be that lurker, even though they had played their part in just holding their position. So it's difficult for me, but I'm trying. I'm trying. Do you have a message for somebody like me? Like, would you have a message like about how to treat the lurkers that are out there? Like, how do you reach out to them, or how do you get them to participate more?
I don't know. Sometimes it was like I was filled up not even participating. I didn't feel like I needed to participate because I
Mm.
would see the familiar names that would, and I would still see these conversations that were being had. And reading all the replies. I don't just read the post. I read everything. I just I love it. So that's enough for some of us, and there's probably a lot of people like that, who are thankful for the conversation. And I hope maybe more people will start coming forward and being excited together, because this is really fun. This is exciting.
Yeah,
We don't know what's going to happen, but it's cool. We're making history right now.
yeah, I agree. I'm trying to start a new segment where I get movie stars to come and tell us about personal life experiences that they endured that allowed them to cultivate strength to overcome and ignore common fears. What's your story? What's your story that allows you to be that diamond hand holder that makes you who you are? Do you have that struggle in your life at some point or another that formed you to have these diamond hands?
I think probably having a teen pregnancy. I got pregnant when I was 19, college, sophomore in college. That was not,
Wow.
kind of the plan. And I was, I was going to Penn State at the time and did have to come back home, but I never took time off college. I was able to finish school and, worked hard, got into a nursing program and graduated that. But
So wait,
just,
from taking pregnancy straight to nursing college and doing the mother stuff all at the same time, this is crazy. That's you went through all that, and that's impressive.
yeah,
I'm really because the nursing. I've actually had quite a few friends who've gone through the nursing school before, and it is no joke. I mean, you might as well be the
right,
doctor for the most part because I mean, you guys are going through some pretty heavy studying, and you're doing the mom thing at the same time. That
right.
makes
And,
sense.
I was young. And, that son right now, he is 18 years old.
You've been through a lot of shit.
He's in college now. Yeah.
I get it. I get it. That's really cool. And so you think that's the biggest thing in your life that really kind of impacted you and allowed you to be that strong willed person is I'm going to persevere through this no matter what because I've been through worse. I've had tougher
I
times.
mean, yeah, if I can get through like everything else in my life, I can definitely like hold on to a
Right?
story.
Right? You've been
That's
through
the
so
easy part.
much. Like holding a share? Pfft, whatever. That's easy.
Right. And that's not to say that like the emotions weren't like intense, because definitely, if we were to rewind back to January, it goes up and then just totally crashed. And people thought I was so foolish for not selling. Like, I, like a bunch of other idiots on Wall Street bets, I had an order for 5 shares at 420.69. LOL, right?
420.69. Nice.
And they ended up selling in pre-market one day for like $440 each, those 5 shares. And those were 5 of my 100. And I sold those 5 for more than I paid for the lot. But then watched them just totally tank. And that sucks, right? When, it, there was so much talk online about, diamond hands, keep holding all that. The reality of things is we are all individual investors that make individual choices. And there are a lot of people that make the choice to sell, and they did. And they had the money then in their account, right? And I didn't. So, um, like that was hard. I mean, there's been plenty of, the fear, the greed, the excitement, there's so many emotions with this. It's a roller coaster. But after having gone up and down and up and down, now just pretty okay with it. It's not like it's exciting, but it's not like, oh, I'm gonna sell, which everybody at work is like, oh, are you gonna sell now? Like, no, no.
Well, that takes us on to an interesting point here because it sounds to me like you have things that you could probably teach us about our future since you've already lived through it. So let's talk about what to expect in our future. What warnings or foresight would you express to others that are perhaps things that you weren't ready for? Things that you experienced that threw you off and you were just way off guard, or things that you saw that were disturbing, whatever it may be. What kind of warnings do
So
you have?
during the Let's see. So during the January squeeze, there were times that I had trouble logging onto Reddit. There were times that Wall Street Bets was like on private or something, like multiple times. Couldn't get onto that. At the time, I had it on 2 different brokers. There were times that I couldn't log into either one of those.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, like, expect that things aren't going to work. Like, don't just think everything's going to stay on and just work perfectly. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
So, potentially the more diversification you can have in where things are and the ability to kind of, if you wanted to trade it or something, be able to do that, to consider that kind of stuff. And, I guess now some people are, have phone numbers for places. Not that phones would totally work either, because I think those numbers would be blown up too. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. And I expect it to be chaos when it really, really does explode. Like,
Yeah.
it,
Expect
I don't know,
chaos.
buckle up, have fun. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Because it will be, I imagine, even more so than last time.
Yeah. Yeah. I would tend to agree with you. In all my analysis of GME charts throughout the entire process of your 2020 and 2021 saga, one of my favorite dates to visit is the pre-market of 125.21. Now, I don't expect you to remember that day specifically, but when I describe to you the price movements, maybe this will refresh your memory. Two times on that day before the market even opened that day, the price had gone from about $60 to around 140, back down to 60, stayed at around 60 for a little while, again went back up to like 150 some odd dollars and came back down to 60. So, and this all happened before, this is all in the pre-market before the market even opened. And everybody had to wake up, I'm sure, at some point. Some people were waking up and seeing these two different runs. Maybe some people were waking up and seeing one of the runs and trying to decide what they were going to do during that period of time. So I guess, and they may have even been freaking out thinking that they may have missed the squeeze because of that price movement from 60 to 140 and then back down again. They were like, oh no, it's over. Especially you on the West Coast, right? On the West Coast, the people are waking up a little bit later than most everybody else. Do you recall what you were thinking that morning, and how did you deal with your emotions when you saw that price movement happening the way that it did? What were you thinking?
So this was back in the time that I would be up during pre-market, always watching it, always had to watch uh, at 6:30 when it started. Um, I at the time was not thinking I would sell, even putting in that order for the 5 shares at 420.69, and that was just sort of like an LOL thing. I don't know. Um, that was hard. Like I didn't want to sell any.
Hmm.
Um, I was really, into that diamond hands. Like this is an infinity squeeze. Let's hold out for telephone numbers. So, you know, any like numbers, going up and down, it was fun like a video game watching those points, but it never felt like real money to me. It was like points and it was all up and down, and just exciting. And it was more like, oh, is it going to happen? But it was so clear, all the manipulation and things that were being done to try and prevent this from happening.
Yeah, taking the buy button away.
Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah. Was there anything you wish you'd have done differently?
You know what? I come to where I just have to be like okay with how I did things. After the squeeze, I really felt kind of this like sense of urgency, like, okay, now I need to like get in before it happens again. And I was thinking it was going to happen right away. So I added to my position when it was, pretty high, and didn't time that the best. But it doesn't do good to like totally kind of regret any of that stuff. There's always something to regret if you choose to look at that. I am just happy to be a part of this, doing what I can, making the choices that I do as an individual investor. Um, I'm good with it. I definitely could have played it differently. I've never been comfortable selling covered calls because I don't want to give up my shares and ever. And I just like I knew something could happen at any time, and I did not want to be buying back calls I had sold. So I definitely left money on the table there. I could have done more, but I'm okay with how it played out.
No regrets is something I remember from high
Yeah.
school. That one of my coaches always told us, like you need to go in expecting that you're going to give it your all, and whatever you walk away with, regardless of the outcome, it's no regrets because you need to just remember that you did what you did in the moment because of a reason, and whatever that reason may be, you have to live with that. So don't have any regrets. And so, yeah, I agree. Just live in the moment, and once you whatever decisions you make going forward is just own it, and
Right, because
go
it
with it.
doesn't feel good to regret it. Like
No.
it just to wish things were different, and or to like compare yourself to others and your position or timing or all that. There is always going to be someone that has more than you and did better than you and whatever. Good for them, right? Like it doesn't ever feel good to like compare and do all that. So just being okay with where you're at and hyped for what's to come.
Yeah. I remember back in the day, the mantra was always sell on the backside. That was kind of like a thing that people, this is the way, and sell on the backside. I personally don't believe in setting price targets or floors or ceilings for MOAS for myself. But what market indicators are you going to be looking at to help you decide when you're going to sell your positions? Uh, Only if you're comfortable answering. You don't have to answer that if you're not comfortable. But what are you looking for? Are there certain things that you're
I
That's a
mean,
tough
I think
question.
people can. It is because people can speculate all day about how it will go down, but ultimately we don't know,
Right,
right?
right.
It will be chaos with the brokers, all that. Um, I expect a lot of big price jumps that will halt all the time, so the stock will probably be halted more than it's ever open and just kind of all over the place. Um,
That's actually something I hadn't considered before. How did you feel about halts in the past? This is a question that's totally off script here. How did you feel about halts in the past?
well, I mean, total buzzkill, right? When things are going up and you're all happy, and then got to wait for 5 minutes to see what happens, and then often the price just plummets when it reopens. There were um, So okay, I do have this photo. I'm not sure which day. I could show you on my phone, but it's showing a high of 513 and a low of 112. This is a 1 day chart of this stock. Like lots of halts in that, lots of crazy,
Wait, put it back up. We got to
you
see it.
know.
Hold it up there for a second. There it is. Nice. Okay.
So I mean,
You took
right?
that photo.
You will see.
When did you take that photo?
So it's actually a screenshot from
Okay.
my phone.
You've been holding on to that screenshot for 3 years. All right. All right. That's cool. And you printed it out, and so there's a lot of ups and downs throughout the time. That's cool. And did you feel like it was like were you thinking crime at the time when you were seeing the halts or
100% because also this, I was also watching the mainstream coverage of this
mm,
and having followed it for months before it blew up and then seeing the way they're portraying it like DFE is somehow pumping this or whatever when it's like no, he used publicly available information to form his thesis. It was, the hedge funds that are shorting this. That's why we had this opportunity, not because, DFE was creating it. So I already knew mainstream, they're full of shit anyways. Like I already knew that, but it was interesting, like seeing it in real time. And yeah, no, it's always entertained me. They still don't get it. Like, they've just kind of like looked down on us for years, and now it's going up again, and they're scrambling, I think, to kind of how to explain this when they say DFE's pumping it 1 week, and then he comes in Friday with a cast and band-aids and shit. Like, I I love it because I think they just don't know. They don't get it. And I think it's funny.
yeah, me too. I love it. Let's see. The movie depicted you as a shareholder through Robinhood in that movie. Are you still with them as a broker after what went down in 2021?
So it was never my like primary broker or whatever. Um, but I mean, their user interface is really pretty. It's fun to like look at. So after it like all, kind of went off, I transferred out my shares out of Robinhood. But before GME did that split thing, I don't know. I saw some posts that said it would be like bad for them if they were shares in Robinhood, fractional shares or something. So I was like, okay, some fractional shares in Robinhood. So I only hold a handful in there. I am guilty of like looking at that just because it's kind of pretty to look at. Um, but I don't trust them, and fuck
User
them. But
interface is always, I on the live stream I use Robin or I said Robin. I use Webull, and I have like less than 10 share. Actually, I think I actually have exactly 10 shares through Webull right now. And it's just I have some shares in there, but I like the aesthetics of just looking at nice, pretty charts, and they happen to be pretty on Webull, and so I'm like, okay, well, presentation wise, this is what I want to show people because it looks better and it's just easier to see things. So, but yeah, I get where you're going with that. How did you experience, or how did the experiences you had in 2021 help to inform you about the decisions that you'll be making this time? Like, do you think you'll be making any changes specific to what, like, are you like, okay, I did that wrong last time. This time I'm doing it this way or differently?
so I would say when it first kind of went off, like I had read about, this thesis and, the shorts must close. But now, like 3.5 years later, reading all this stuff, it's like, yeah, they're screwed. And they're, I think, in a way bigger problem than they were before.
Yeah.
So I'm more convinced of that than ever. I did the first time around, in this not going to sell, never going to sell, diamond hands kind of thing. Um, it is hard then to watch people post their gains porn, of how well they've done on stuff. So the truth is, people do sell, and at some point, like, I should be reasonable and lock in some profit. I don't know when that's going to happen.
And none of us has
I
control.
will always hold
Go ahead.
with that. Sorry.
No, well, none of us has control over anybody else's actions, right? And we all
Right.
know that. We're all individual investors here. None of us controls each other. None of us influence each other. We can make our own decisions. And that's something that we have to acknowledge and recognize going forward, that every single one of us is going to make a decision at a different point in time than the other person, because all of our situations are different. And that's okay.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. So, it's weird because we can have this general thesis of buy and hold in a stock that we believe in, but still have this idea of like, okay, well, at some point in time, we're going to have to be no longer a part of this, or maybe we'll be a part of it, but not, maybe we'll exit out and re-enter back in. Who knows what the situation is going to be, but we're all individual investors here ultimately, and we all get to decide our own decisions and decide how we're going to trade. And I think that's what you're trying to express to us, is that you're going to do what you think is best for you.
Yes, and some of my shares are for the infinity pool. Some of my shares I will never sell just because I have them and they're mine. And to like actually have some money, you will have to sell some, right? So during MOAS at some point, I will sell some of them. I don't have a plan, no real expectations other than the chaos, but yeah.
Well, I don't really.
I forgot the question. Yeah.
No. I mean, we talked about what would you do differently. It was essentially what it was, and I
What would
think,
I do different? Okay,
yeah,
because some of the people that online were just like all about diamond hands, they were not diamond hands themselves. Like, so coming up with your own plan and feeling good about what you are doing for you, and not basing that off what you think someone else is going to do.
yeah.
Because there's plenty of us. Or there are so many of us. There are so many shorts. Like, they need our shares. We can all sell some and hold some and be fabulously wealthy. Like, there are that many shares. So, yeah.
Well, I don't have any other questions. So this is the point in time where I'm going to kind of go over to both the Discord where I had questions that were submitted, and also to the chat, and I'm going to see what it is. Anybody who has any questions in the chat, now would be the time to post it in there so that you can take a look at, so I can take a look at what it is that you guys are saying. And if you want to pull it up, while you're pulling it up on your iPad, I think you're going to be looking at the live chat now. I'm going to go let my dog in real quick because he's pounding on the door right now, even though he can let himself in. He's being a baby. And I'm going to go let him in real quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, so how did you end up in the book is the first question I see.
Okay. So that whole thing was kind of random too. Um, I was still very much following the story on Wall Street Bets and everything because I was, holding and wondering, when is this going to go up again? Like, when can I get some money? And I had seen that Ben had gotten a book deal, and then there was a bidding war for the rights to his movie. So I already knew he was making a book and a movie. I knew who he was before, and several of his books I've read. But I was following him on Twitter, and there was one night that there was this like drama going on in Wall Street Bets, and he had tweeted something probably unrelated, and I don't know, feeling somehow like protective of the story and just like, God, I hope, like he doesn't, I don't even know what I was thinking, but I like replied to his tweet, like, are you catching this drama? Like, careful about your sources. I was not seeking out trying to be in it. But once him and I started talking, and I was, just kind of explaining to him some of the language and stuff in Wall Street Bets, because everything is kind of, it's not like normal language. You got to know, all this, wife's boyfriend kind of stuff. And then I just told him, kind of a little bit about my story, and I think he thought it could make a good character.
That's cool. A lot of people are saying hi to you. Does she have real life support, or is everyone in real life think she is crazy? What does that mean? I don't know.
They think I'm crazy.
No. That's Stella saying. I think he's talking about something. I probably should have read through the comments. I'm not sure what Stella was saying there. Let's see here. Let me go over to the questions from the back of the Discord here. One of the questions I have is it hard living with diamond hands? And that was from Rex Waz.
Is it hard? I don't know. Hard in what way? Like, I feel like it's easier to hold than to.
Not.
I could have sold at a better time. I don't know. Yeah. Like that part's easy.
Another question I had was Nails says, how do you deal with emotion? With the emotion, knowing that the market moves are made to trigger emotional response. Like that most of these moves are psychologically impacting you as an investor. How do you deal with that? Actually, before you answer that question, do you want to discuss your background in nursing? About what field specifically? Because I don't know if you want to. Don't say it if you don't want to. But if you do want to say it, because it might help explain the answer to the next one. No?
Sure. I'm a psych nurse.
Psych nurse. All right, bingo.
Psych nurse.
So psychologically, now that you know you have this outside source, it's like, do this, and then you're like sitting there going like, I don't know if I want to. Like you have this unique perspective because you are a nurse and psych, so you look at this probably a little bit differently than maybe most people might look at it. How do you deal with that kind of stuff?
I think what's ultimately really helped is the time in this stock and seeing it go up and down so many times, and just knowing like it's not time yet. But it's hard when you see your account balance go up, go back down, and up and down, and then if you entertain any thoughts of, I could have, should have done whatever. Like I would say it's the more you're okay with the choices you are making, the better you're going to feel about it. So if you start thinking about how you could have done things or should have done things, that's when a lot of those negative feelings come in. Just feel good about the choices you're making, get excited. But it's hard, right? To, when it's up and it's like, oh my God, should I sell? When part of me like even felt like a traitor for selling those blue shares. It's like, we're gonna diamond hands. When you make your choices based on what you think is right for you, and try not to let the noise around you affect that, I think that's when they feel better. Because for a while, when GameStop really wasn't doing well, like the stock wasn't doing well, and everybody already thinks I'm nuts. And then they were like, oh, you should have sold. If I listen to that and start caring about that, like, then I could feel crappy about my choices. But now I got to be like, haha, I told you so. Like, we're going to the moon. Like, told you.
Yeah. I've got a special person I'm going to do a little prank on after this is all over. So I know what you mean. Trust me. Let's see here. During your time in the stock market, what sources would you suggest for reputable, quality, and accurate information? That's also from Nails. That last question and this question is also from Nails.
Reputable. So many of the things that I think we assumed were reputable years ago, we now know are not. Like, so many people have an agenda with things, and that's why it's been so refreshing, like talking to you and your stream and stuff, and someone that doesn't have that sort of agenda, because so many people are trying to influence our decisions and the way we think, and So, just guard your mind and careful about any attempts to influence it too much.
It's really knowing what you stand for. Yucca's asking a question. He says, Kim, did you get any money for your story in Dumb Money?
Nothing.
Not a
No.
dime. Bastards.
No, and that's something that's like, right, my coworkers who don't even kind of understand why I love this whole thing are like, oh, you should have gotten paid, blah blah. I'm like, what? I've got a cool story to tell. No, like
Yeah, I
this is
mean,
fun. Like
you can go to a
just the
bar.
experience is enough. I'm
Yeah, it's a bar
right,
story.
like I'm right, and what if it wasn't me, it's gonna be someone else. It's not that I'm special. It's that I think I represent so many people that are in this stock and that were in this stock before, and not just GameStop, but AMC, all the stocks that are just regular people that are just, they're this is like it felt like we had a chance. We're fighting the man, and like we had a chance. Like we caught them at their own game.
Not once,
Yeah.
twice. Not
Right.
twice. We're going for three. This is round three for us here, so we're gonna go for it again. We're gonna catch them. This is not the end of it. So, One Timer and Funky Pizza both asked a similar question on my Discord. They said, "Did you have any family members who knew about your position, and if so, were they supportive of your decisions, or did they pressure you? And how did you handle that?" Now, don't answer the question if you're not comfortable with it. If you prefer not to speak about anything specifically, that just answer the things you want to answer. We can talk about the dirty gritty
Um,
stuff after in the back of the big tramp, but now you could just what do you want to say live?
so I would say family wise, like they've never pressured me. I would say they probably when I was sharing some stuff the other day. So I have a lot of GameStop in my retirement account, right? And so that's like, most people would do like safer, smarter plays. I'm heavy into GameStop in there. No regrets. I'm happy with it. Um, so no pressure from them. Since the squeeze, when it ran or sneeze in January 2021. So then I was trading in a Roth IRA. Since then, I have both my boys have accounts with GameStop. They also have Roth IRAs with GameStop. So I have gotten them into it. But my family's been good. It's mostly the people at work that are just are like, have you sold yet? Have you taken profits? Like, they always have something to say.
Yeah. Well, just tell them mind their own business. If it's too late though, they already know. So I understand. I get it. Let's see here. Let me take a question from the chat here. Wolfie says, "Hi Kim, do you think the film portrayed our Diamond Hand community as a whole, and how they portrayed you? Like, do you think that they did a good representation of us as a community?"
I think there are people from every walk of life all over the world that were holding this stock. Like all sorts of people, people with millions of dollars worth and people with one share, just hoping for that to change their life. So, I think the movie did a pretty good job of, showing some like regular people, me being one of them, those college kids, making out really well and stuff. But there were so many of us, there still are so many of us in every financial situation. So I think it did a fairly good job of, showing a couple different perspectives, and the hedge fund people and the way they were portrayed. But those scenes, they're with their families. They're not, they're on the other side of this trade that we have, and like they're also, people too. I thought that was kind of an interesting, in the way that like so it's during the pandemic, and a lot of movies don't show masks and stuff. So I think this is like an interesting kind of capturing time. And in the movie, Gabe Plotkin and stuff wearing he's not wearing a mask. All his help, they're wearing masks, and he's just like eating the food, like dancing to the music next door. Just the differences
Mm.
between us. But I don't think I answered your question, but I think there are just so many of us, and it's so beautiful, and from all over the world too. It's not just
Yeah,
the US.
that's
We got apes all over the world.
doing the live stream. That was probably one of the biggest things for me was finding out how many shareholders there have been across the world involved in this, and I think it's been a real eye opener. And I actually did one of my very first interviews was with somebody from Denmark, who's one of the very first viewers of this channel. And one of the things that stood out the most to me in our conversation and in an interview with him, because I just wanted to find out why the heck you watching this channel, and I wanted to know, and he's like, he said the U.S. markets impact the world. When your markets fail, it impacts everybody. When your markets are corrupt, they tend to fail. So by me being a part of trying to do something that's going to help to fix the failures in your market or the system that's impacting me and my family in another country, I want to be there and be a part of that. I was like, holy shit, that's crazy. That is really, really crazy that somebody like they have enough foresight to look ahead and say like, holy shit, all my problems are coming from the US and I want to be a part of fixing the system that's over there that's broken. And I was like, damn, that's next level. For me, that's next level. I think that's really crazy to even imagine thinking that far ahead, but it is. That's what it is. There's some people who just want. I mean, some people just want to make money too, and that's fine. But there are people who are looking at this and they're saying like, there's a broken system, and this is one of the ways that could potentially help fix that system. And I think that's really powerful. It speaks to me, anyways. It tells me this is more than just a problem in the U.S. It's a problem for the world, and a lot
Right.
of
And
people want
it's
to
like a
help.
potential like opportunity to really, have some wealth that people otherwise wouldn't have. If we are able to MOAS and people are able to sell for telephone numbers, it represents an opportunity to pull them out of whatever situation they feel that they're in.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
so it's that opportunity and potential freedom, and yeah, it represents so much, and there's so many reasons to be in it. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to. We're getting really close to an hour here, so I want to try to wrap this up pretty soon. So let me continue to scroll through some of the questions that I had in the back of the Big Tramp. When you first entered the stock market, what education did you find most beneficial to understanding market dynamics? That's kind of and that was from Nails. Again, another Nails question. What's up with Nails and all these questions?
Yeah. So when I had first got into like kind of when I was doing the day trading stuff and into that guru's course, I was learning about um, technical analysis and that kind of stuff. The reality of what ended up happening to me, was being those pump and dumps and those press releases meant to influence things and different stuff. So, but the good thing about that was that you showed me how much manipulation there was and how things can go wrong, how long things can be halted. And it wasn't just halted 5 minutes. I mean, I think it was like weeks of halts. I mean, it was just bad drama that I was in before. And, learned don't trade on margin.
Hmm.
Like,
A lot of people that make that mistake, don't they? Yeah.
right. Yeah. So blew up an account then. But I, am grateful for the education that I had
Mistakes. That's your.
in that.
That's what you're telling me. I feel like you're saying
Yeah.
mistakes was your best education the first time around.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we can all. I think we can all probably agree that that's probably where we got our best education was through trial and error.
Right. Or watching the mistakes other people make
Mm.
and what could potentially happen in this. And as a lurker, right, that's what happens. You're seeing people's wins, losses, all their, different things. Um, and learning from that too.
Yeah.
A lot of valuable information out there. But there's nothing that I would cite as like the ultimate authority on any of this. As DFE says, like, I like the stock.
Me too. I'm going to end with one last question here, and I'm going to give Stella a second chance here. She asked, was this really your first experience in the stock market?
But no, I mean, I had started trading in like 2014, 2015.
Okay. So
And I had
not,
been on that side of Twitter for a while. Like that was, I've always, I've always been like a dreamer and like just kind of, chasing those shiny objects and FOMOing into things, but it doesn't usually work out
yeah.
with stock stuff. But in this case, it's been fun.
Well, Kim, I really want to thank you for your valuable time and donating it to the community for us to get to know you and your experience. My view is that I'm here to document history, and in my opinion, you've just gone down in the history books not just once, but now twice. And I think that's kind of some foreshadowing, I guess, on my part. Did you have any last comments that you wanted to make before we go?
I'm just so like, thank you for having me. And this has been really fun. And like, I think I want to start participating in these conversations and being excited and want other people to know that their voice is important too, like all of us. And it's so beautiful that people feel differently about these things. Don't feel that you have to do things a certain way or use certain things or do whatever. It's like it takes all of us, and it's just so fun.
Yeah, I agree.
It's an honor to be part of.
I I think this is an epic journey here, and I feel like it's just something that many of us won't realize how big this was until after it's all said and done. But I agree with you. I have one last thing here to say, Kim. It's a quote. I always give a quote at the end of all the interviews. Because of your passion, heart, and bravery to face fear, I leave you with the following quote. There's no passion to be found playing small, and settling for a life is less than one you are capable of living. And that was by Nelson Mandela. Kim, thank you for your diamond hands. Thank you for the interview, and we'll see you on the fighting field from time to time.
Absolutely. Thank you.